Hey guys, I am doing the crochet tag. I thought I should do a crochet tag as a way for you to get to know me in terms of my crochet history. If I'm just new here on YouTube, I want to share a bit of that for you. Okay, so here we go. Let me think. I would say it hasn't been too long. It's been less than a year. I think I started crocheting in late September, early October of 2011. Basically YouTube. I was curious about learning how to crochet, and I looked on YouTube and I looked up, how to crochet. I found some videos that were very detailed and showed how to do it. So I basically went out, I went to the store, bought some crochet hooks, then I bought some yarn, and I just tried practicing and watched them very closely, looked at mine, and figured out how to do it. So in a way you could say I was self-taught, but also I was taught through YouTube. This is, let me see, my railroad hook size is this one. It is the USK 10.5/6.5 millimeter. This is my favorite. It might just be because my hands are relatively big and I have a bigger hook, wider hook. I feel like I can get stuff done. Makes things a bit bigger too, because when I crochet my hats, sometimes the patterns, when I follow to the crochet hook recommended, it comes up too tight depending on the pattern, and it's just, I can't fit my head in it, so I have to use the bigger hook. So I think the K is my favorite hook, even though many like I or H are pretty common, pretty functional too, but I just like this because of the way it fits my hand and I can hold it and do things well with it. My favorite brand of hooks, well, my only brand of hooks, are the Red Heart brand of hooks. I guess they're aluminum? I'm not sure if they're aluminum. I can't really tell. It has a metallic color. Generally, I worked with Red Heart Super Saver acrylic yarn, primarily. Then I've tried in the past couple months moving over to the brunette cotton. Tried to work in cotton. I've also worked with some specialty yarn. Like, yeah, I've tried working with the eyelash one. I've done that. I've done a hat with that. They're okay, but I think my favorite would be sort of acrylic, just because it's tried and true and I know how to manipulate it. I have not yet worked with wool. I think that would be an interesting one to see if I could work with wool. But I want to see what pattern I want to work best with wool, because I don't want to like just mess around with it. I want to make something else really special. Well, my favorite pattern are hat patterns. Basically any pattern that makes a hat I'm always intrigued with, because I like hats that have a lot of texture. Sometimes just basic hats are cool too, but I love crocheting hats because I feel like it's a sense of accomplishment once you finish the project and you have something that's functional, you have something that people can wear, people can use. And I don't know, it's an accessory, and I think it's kind of fun. So I think hats, for sure, hats. I'd say my favorite would have to be Teresa from Crochet Geek, because Teresa's up close and repeats and slow motions of how she does it really helped me figure out how to do certain stitches, particularly the front post crochet, the puff stitch, the star stitch. Those ones I really needed the in close look, and looking at it and practicing and seeing what it looked like in my hand and replaying it back to how she did it. So I guess she would have to be my favorite crochet guru, just inspiring all over the place. I think my inspiration, especially in crochet, is to be creative. is I want an outlet where I can create something that was not there, and to be proud of it and to find different colors. And I don't know, that's where I find my inspirations to be, as a creative outlet. Come on. Spare yarn. Just some spare yarn. I find that's easier for me because, especially when I get patterns that are very repetitive, let's say if it was a single crochet pattern and around, I can just easily lose track. And at that point, I basically I remember my increases and the distances between it, but I rarely count the whole amount of stitches per round. So if I have like an increase every 4 stitches, I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, increase, 1, 2, 3, 4, increase, but I won't count them. So by having a stitch marker just helps me remember, okay, this is the last stitch and I need to put something there. So I need a stitch marker, especially in very repetitive patterns like that, when there are some changes into it. Once it gets into a stable round and there's not any need for it, I don't usually need a stitch marker. Only if it is in the continuous round is when I use stitch markers. The highest amount I ever paid, I said, would probably be $6.50, and that was for one of the novelty yarns, more bulky or thick yarns. It might have been the Light and Lofty from Red Heart. You know, the really soft and almost coily, soft and coily yarn. And that was probably my highest priced yarn that I purchased. A couple times I had to retake them. For example, I tried working on the puff stitch hat that Teresa put up there, and I was not getting the hang of the puff stitch either. It was coming up too tight, and then there's too many gaps between them. I was too loose in my crocheting, and it wasn't coming out right, so I had to retake that. So that basically took me months to come up to a way I could find I could maybe not mastered, but at least like the way it looked. Because for a while it's like, this is just not working, and I tried a couple times and like, I don't know if I like the look of this stitch and all that, so I just found any ways not to try to do that, not to overcome that one. But it took me a fair amount of months because I didn't focus on it. Once I get frustrated with something and I don't see the benefit right away, I'm like, I'll just put it away for now, because it'll come back around and then I'll challenge it later with more practice and more.